What's going on, NFL fans, Redskins fans specifically? This is JD coming at you with Redskin Rant. It is week 3. We just finished week 3, and we had a butt whipping on the good old Oakland Raiders. I actually tried to do this Sunday night right after the game while everything was fresh in my mind. But a little bit sick. I kept coughing. So, just so you guys didn't have to hear me cough a lot, I decided to do it today. It is Tuesday. First off, I'm going to go over the game. I'll just say this. First off, did amazing. I think on every aspect of the game, we did amazing. I usually rip on Kirk Cousins. I will not rip on Kirk Cousins, but I will also respond to some things that I've heard from Redskin fans over the last few days. So hopefully the lighting is good. I'm trying to get the lighting so it's not like in my face, but there we go. It's actually really nice like that. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and go over the game. Now I'm going to reiterate on something real quick before I actually go to the game. My opinion, and if you didn't watch it last week, if you're not sure on my opinion on this, before I state my opinion, before I go into the game, Kirk Cousins is not, it's not that I don't want Kirk Cousins to, first off, it's not that I don't think he's good, and it's not that I don't think he can succeed, okay? I think he has talent. He is definitely talented. It'd be stupid for me to say he's not talented. My issue with Kirk Cousins has always been his decision making, okay? He doesn't always make decisions that are in the best interest of the team. Sometimes, and this happened a lot last year, and a lot of people argue this with me, but if you go watch the film, like I have, you can go see this for yourself. A lot of times he'll take the yards rather than getting the play, or take the play that we need to get a first down or something. To keep his percentage up, to keep his yardage up. For example, I'm just throwing this out there. I'm not going to rehash this whole thing. Kirk Cousins had about 5,000 yards. It was like 4,920 yards or something like that. 4,900. It was like 4,900 last year. Okay, almost 5,000 yards. And the year before that, he had less than that. But the year before that, he had 5 more touchdowns and 1 less interception, no red zone turnovers, higher red zone numbers. So this is where my issue with Kirk Cousins. Yes, he can throw the ball. I'm not going to say he's going to throw the ball, but there's a lot of factors that deal into that. For example, people sit there and say, look, he had the most yards through the air. Okay, he's throwing to Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson run faster than anyone else in the league. All you gotta do is throw it and hope he runs over. They fail to mention that he does a lot of overthrows on that. He did a lot of overthrows week 1. That's why we lost week 1. Okay. Instead of taking the short route on 1st and 10, he'll take a deep route, completely put us behind the sticks, and then we have to hope our guys can get a 10-yard pass or catch and run for 10 yards or something like that. That's where I've had issues. It's not always the smartest play. I know it looks good when it works. I'll agree with that. But we have proven, this has been proven, we do better when we maintain the clock. Okay? We held the ball, I think it was 38 minutes to 22 minutes, I think is what it was. I'm looking right here. I got the stats right here in front of me. So if I'm looking to the right, it's because I got my computer here. We held the ball, let's see if that's going to show it. We held the ball for 28 minutes, and 38 minutes, and they had the ball for about 21. That is when we were most successful. We also have a stat where we are 16-2-1 in the last 2 or 3 years whenever we rush for over 25 times. Okay? There is no correlation to the success of Kirk Cousins' success of our team. He had more passing yards last year, and in that more passing yards, he had more turnovers, less touchdowns, worse red zone numbers, and we won less games. So Kirk Cousins being successful does not correlate to us winning. Okay, I mean, obviously it's going to be a factor, okay, but there's no correlation between how good he throws, how many yards he has, to us winning games. Okay, there's no correlation. Just like there's no correlation last year, I won't blame the defense. There's no correlation to winning or losing from the defense. I'll get an example. God, I'm sorry I got into this. In 2015, our defense gave up 377 yards a game and like 23.4 points per game. Last year, 380 yards per game and like 24.3 points per game. Last year, we gave up less yards per game and less points per game. Okay, so the statistics were about the same, but everyone's like, "Oh, look at our third down conversions." That's irrelevant because we're not letting teams score. If we're giving up 10 more points a game, or 100 more yards a game, or 50 more yards, anything like that, if we're giving up anything else that results in either lack of time of possession or lack of yards or any more yards or points, then your correlation is correct. You've deducted properly that we are not successful because our team gives up third downs. The more third downs they give up, we give up more points. But it's not. They gave the same amount of points and yards from year to year. So the third down conversion rate that everyone says like historically bad, it was only historically bad to the Redskins, first off. So let's keep that in perspective. So, and then the correlation that I'm talking about, there's only a correlation last year in Kirk Cousins and wins. He had more yards, yes, sure, whatever. But he also had less passing touchdowns. And the only reason we averaged the same amount of yards, or same amount of points we had last year, was because we had 8 more rushing touchdowns. That's the only correlation we had last year. In Kirk's red zone numbers, we had 11 more trips to the red zone. We had, I want to say, 8 less red zone touchdowns. 8 less touchdowns in the red zone. I'm not trying to be a dead horse. I'm over it. It was last year, but that's where my opinion of Kirk Cousins has been. He has not always taken the smart play to move the sticks. He's not always taken the smart play to get the ball in the end zone. Okay, it's not part of that's not correlating yet. We don't know. I don't have enough facts yet to really sit there and say that Kirk Cousins has fixed his red zone issues and that he is making better decisions. I mean, we're going to have a larger sample size in 3 games. Okay, but I can tell you his red zone numbers are better than they were last year already. He's 6 of 12. 50% completion percentage, which is better than it was. It was like 33%. Okay. He has 2 touchdowns in the red zone, and in goal to go, he has 2 touchdowns. That's where his touchdowns are, goal to go. But he also has an interception thrown in the red zone. Red zone. But he actually has an interception thrown in the red zone, and he has -1 yards within 10 and in. And he's 1 for 3. So we're going to have a whole sample size of this. Okay, so don't get me wrong. It's going to have to be an entire season before we get an actual proper sample size of what Kirk Cousins is going to be able to do. But my biggest issue with last year was his red zone production was bad. Okay, you can forget everything else that he checked down, like on 3rd and 10, he'd throw the ball 3 yards and just hope the guy ran and got it. But ultimately, it's his red zone numbers that really got to me last year. Okay, and this is where my opinion is. Now, you don't have to agree with me. That's the point of this being my video. You can make your own video. You know what? Say, I disagree, here's my video, and I'll watch it. I don't care. But, sorry, let's full circle back around. My opinion on Kirk Cousins this season so far has been, Kirk Cousins is proving to not be able to throw deep balls. Can he throw the ball deep? Yes. I'm not saying he cannot throw the ball deep. He's got power, he's got a good, strong arm. Okay, that's what makes him good for the other aspects of the game, which I think he should do more of. He has a good, strong arm, but he's not accurate deep. He's not a deep, accurate ball. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about Kirk Cousins now since I'm already on that tirade. I give Kirk Cousins about 10% of the credit for the win. Yes, he had a lot of completions, and he actually had a few drops. I'll give him credit on that. He had a great game. He had a fantastic game. I'm not going to take anything away from him on that. But the issue I'm having is people want to sit there and... There's a thing called confirmation bias, where you want to look at something as an overall picture and think when it happens, like, oh, that confirms my opinion. Yeah. It's like right after the game, I was like, where are all the Kirk Cousins haters now? I'm like, you all need to really watch the game and either shut your mouth. It's fine that you like Kirk Cousins. I don't dislike Kirk Cousins to the degree that I hate him. I just don't like the fact that how he's been used, and I don't like his decision making. Okay? If you're going to sit there and say that Kirk Cousins, every time that Kirk Cousins has a good game, that it confirms that Kirk Cousins is a franchise quarterback, well, you're wrong. You need to understand why Kirk Cousins had a game. Then you can make that conclusion. Kirk Cousins, what makes him successful and what is going to make him successful this season, maybe not going forward. He might maybe just need someone faster to throw the deep ball to. I have no idea. But in game 1, he was 0 for 6 on balls over 20 yards. On game 2, he was 0 for 2. Okay, 0 for 2. Sunday night, he was 1 for 1. So Kirk Cousins has a completion percentage of passes over 20 yards. Now, when I say over 20 yards, he throws the ball and it travels 20 yards through the air until the guy catches it. Okay? So, passes over 20 yards, he is 1 for 9. Okay? That's 11% completion percentage. 1 for 9. He has a touchdown on that. I'll give him that. But what people don't understand is the residual effect of when he misses those deep balls. When he misses those deep balls, the impact on the offense it's really dramatic. It's very dramatic. Like, we don't pass well after that. We don't run well. It's like the longer the pass missed, the more confidence gets sucked out of us, and the more depressed, I guess, we get after the screw. I don't know how to word that, but the longer the screw up, the more yards we screw up on when it comes to one play. Seems like it's devastating. Like, the team just kind of can't overcome it for a couple plays. I could throw the statistics out there, but no one's going to believe me. So, I mean, we're negative after a deep pass where we miss. We're negative yards rushing the ball after that, and our completion percentage after that play is 33%. Whereas, I'm going to go ahead and go over some numbers. Any passes over 10 yards, now again, you got to factor in, you have 1 of 9 factored into this. So 9, so you're basically 11 of 18 for any pass over 10 yards. For just 10 to 20 yard area, you're 11 of 18. High percentage. I didn't actually do that percentage calculation. Give me 1 second here. And I'll tell you the percentage calculator. 11 divided by 18. That's 60. It's not horrible. It's not great, but it's 61%, which is better than 11%. Any pass over 10 yards is 44%. So if you look at how much further he throws the ball, his percentage really drops dramatically. Catches from 10 yards or less, where he'll throw the ball like a 3-yard slant or a 5-yard out, or maybe even a screen pass or whatever. He has completed 77% of those plays. And they are a bulk of our big plays. We have 1 deep pass. 1 deep pass for a touchdown. Okay? Kirk has, let me think for a second. 5 touchdowns? I think he has 5 touchdowns. Okay, he has Thompson week 1, which was a passing touchdown. Okay, even though it was only 1 yard, it was still a passing touchdown. 1. Last week, he had 2. There was a touchdown to Ryan Grant. He threw that one. So that's 2. That was less than 20 yards. If you don't believe me, go look. Less than 20 yards. Then this week he had 3. 1 deep one, but the other 2 were short passes. Okay. And the one to Vernon Davis was only 18 yards. So it wasn't like that was over 20 yards. So he actually has a lot more success throwing the ball short because we have good athletes. Now this is why I'm gonna go and jump off of this for 1 second. I get tired of people complaining about, oh, we gave up Pierre Garçon and Jackson. Yeah, we gave up those guys. I don't know why we gave those guys, because we didn't want to have to pay those guys, because they wanted a contract that was more than... We probably would have kept one or both if they would have been like, okay, we'll only play for 2 years. We'll play for 1 year and we have an option for the second year. No, they wanted something a little bit more guaranteed. A little bit more... I don't want to say guaranteed, because nothing in the NFL is guaranteed. But they wanted a little bit more security. Okay? Pierre Garçon is making $16 million this year. Okay, we can't afford that. We couldn't afford that and then pay all the defensive players we got, which paid off big time in this game. I mean, that's just being honest. It paid off big time. So we can't pay that kind of money towards receivers for 1 or 2 years. Maybe one of them, maybe, but Pierre Garçon's getting older, and Jackson, Jackson, unless he's going deep, I like Jackson was a big player and he's a 1,000-yard receiver, but unless he's going deep, he's not effective, because when he goes crossing routes, he's very gun shy. He should be. If he was a better route runner, I probably would argue with everyone that we should keep him, because he's so fast. But he doesn't run routes really good. The only time he really gives his all is when it's a deep ball. He doesn't run. He can run a crossing route, catch it, and run for 20 yards. Jamison Crowder does what Jackson should do. Ryan Grant does what Jackson should do. And the fact that we have young, good players is enough reason for me to not... If we didn't have the guys we have, then I understand everyone's point, and I agree with your point. We should have kept these receivers. But I'm going to give you a heads up. We have guys we're going to have next maybe 5 to 8 years. We have Chris Thompson, which he's our best offensive weapon. Him and Jordan Reed are our 2 best offensive weapons right now. Jordan Reed can't stay healthy, but besides the point, those are our best weapons. Jordan Reed's another one. We're going to have him another 5, 6 years. Okay? These are long-term players that we can have. Crowder, Grant, Dobson, if he ever gets himself completely right and on the field. I'm not so sure about Pryor, but as of right now, Pryor's still a decent part of the game. There's too much talent here for one team to guard. This is why I want short passing routes. there's too much talent there for one person to guard. So the fact that we lost Garcon, it's not a big deal to me. The fact that we lost Jackson, not a big deal. My opinion is you put Crowder where Jackson was, and you put Grant where Crowder was. And Pryor and Quick and even Dobson can step in for Garcon. Pryor is proving that he can be a good down back. What I mean by like a possession back. Receiver. Because he's a big body. He's got a big body. He's pretty smart. He had two catches. Sunday night, but he only had like 3 targets. So that's not bad, okay? Now, where I will say Pryor needs to improve is he needs to improve his route running. He will round off some of his routes. And there's times where he does like a 10-yard comeback, and he doesn't really come back to the ball. Okay? Those are the only big things that I can say about that. And I'm going to circle back to Kirk Cousins now. So Kirk Cousins is 54 of 70 of passes that are 10 or less yards. That's a 77% completion percentage. All passes under 20 yards are 72% completion. 64 of 89. 64 of 89 is our passing percentage for passes under 20 yards. That's very efficient. Efficiency is a good thing because it affects our running game. When we run the ball, we throw the ball deep and then try to run, we don't do well. When we throw the ball short and then try to run, we do well. We had 128 rushing yards. Last 2 games, I mean, I can't add them up. I'm not going to add them up in the divide because it's very skewed. But the last 3 games, we're averaging what? 116 yards is what we got offensively. But God, I mean, you're averaging together. Game 1, we only had about 64 yards. So I'm just going to get my trusty calculator out again, and I'll do this for you. 64 yards plus 229. Oh, not 2,029. 229 plus 116 equals divided by 3. 136 yards. Okay, that's how many yards we're averaging rushing. That's really skewed because last week we had so many yards it was ridiculous. But we were running the ball consistently. When we get over 20, it's a stat that I didn't know about until I actually read one of the Redskins forums. We are 16-2-1 whenever we run the ball for more than 25 yards a game or 25 attempts a game. I mean, that's a good recipe for success, don't you think? And there's no correlation between how many yards Kirk Cousins has and our wins. He can have 300. He had 420 some passing yards last year against Dallas, and we still lost. Okay, so yardage doesn't really matter, and touchdowns don't. It's just overall everything. And like I said, Kirk Cousins is well, but he is the best when he can get the ball out quick. And here's why: because we don't have a great offensive line. Everything falls on quick passes. Here's why: offensive line is not great. So if we're running deeper pass, that gives the offensive line or defensive line chance to get to him. That's why week 1 we had like 4 sacks. We gave up 4 sacks. He was rushed about 3 or 4 times, so on and so forth. Okay. The percentage of plays week 1 that we had that were supposed to go deep were ridiculous. Now that it diminishes every game, and we are more successful every game because of that. Okay. So I'm going to come off my soapbox here about Kirk Cousins. I don't hate him. I want him to succeed. I'm a Redskins fan. I want him to succeed. But the way he's being used is not the best way for him to be successful. Okay? The way he's most successful is short passes. See, the reason why Josh Dobson's pass worked is because we set it up and we got single coverage deep, and he happened to had David Amerson on him. Okay? We can't keep doing that. And I heard this argument. I'm going to go ahead and go on this for 2 seconds. Someone said to me, like, oh, if you keep throwing short passes, they're going to stack 10 in the box. No, they're not. That is dumb. And the person who said this, I want to go back and say it, but I'm going to take the high road. You're stupid for saying that. Here's why. When you throw short passes, you know what other team throws short passes? They don't stack the box on them. Tom Brady. That is accurate when the other team doesn't have a quarterback. Kirk Cousins is obviously not Tom Brady. He's not Aaron Rodgers, but he is not a bad quarterback. He has a strong enough arm. He's accurate enough that he can burn any team that wants us to put 10 in the box against us. He will burn any team that does that. Where that argument has validity if we didn't have a quarterback. In the past, like with Rex Grossman, Beck, there's others. I mean, obviously there's others, but those are only 2 that were recent before we drafted RG3. Brunell was another one. Brunell could actually throw the ball pretty decent deep, so they didn't stack the box on us. But if they stack the box, I'll give you a perfect example. Vikings a couple years ago were the perfect team to stack the box on. Why? One, they did not have a reliable quarterback. They had Christian Ponder. Okay. Two, they had decent weapons. Just Ponder couldn't read the defense enough to get it to them. And three, they ran the ball and ran the ball and ran the ball with Adrian Peterson. That's the time you stack the box. Why? Because you can't burn them deep. You can't burn them on the back end. Okay? That's why you stack the box, because the other team does not have the ability to burn you on the back end, whether it's by quarterback faking it, throw a quick pass to somebody, or whether they fake it and then you hit someone deep. Did not have the option to do it. They had weapons to do it, but the quarterback did not have the arm, the accuracy, nor the football IQ to do so. Kirk has the football IQ, he has the accuracy, and he has the arm strength to do all those things. So no one will stack the box on us. What it does is, if you ever played football, linebackers take a step forward on every play. Supposed to step forward and eyes in the backfield. Same with corners, eyes in the backfield. So if we make a quick pass, they're stepping forward. They don't have a chance to recover to their man they're guarding, or have a chance to recover to if they're playing a zone, the area they're guarding. We get the ball out before they even get a chance to. And if they blitz, it's even worse. The first touchdown we scored against the Raiders is a prime example of this. The Raiders sent 2 off the edge. They had their 4 down linemen, 2 off the edge. Chris Thompson caught the ball, and he runs 30-some yards for a touchdown. Wide open. Wide open. Seriously, wide open. Why is that? Because it was a quick pass. I mean, other guys ran deep, sure, but Kirk Cousins got rid of it quick because he had a quick route to get it to. Okay, if we didn't have Thompson there, don't know if we got a touchdown there. Okay, so quick passes make it more effective for us. Our offensive line if our offensive line, I don't think it's bad, but it's molding into a good offensive line right now. I think a little bit of more confidence, we're getting that, is going to help us. Okay, so quick passes eliminate how good another team's defensive line can be, and how good they are with their blitz schemes. We did really well against the Rams because early in the game we had some quick passes. They got on their heels. Okay, they got on their heels a little bit. They were backpedaling right as we hiked it, and we were able. And then that opened up the running game because they're going backwards, and we're already getting 3 or 4 yards for first contact. Okay, so it's perpetual. So I'm sorry I'm on this soapbox. I'm just trying to say that the offense runs better when Kirk Cousins makes short passes, and I think it's been a proactive decision by Jay Gruden. I really do think it's a proactive decision by Jay Gruden because he calls the plays, and he has not called as many deep balls. He has called more short passes, and he's committed to the short game and getting the ball out to our athletes. We have athletes, get them the ball. Good things happen when we get our athletes the ball. Okay, and the percentage and the likelihood of getting the ball deeper down the field is very unlikely. Hell, we took a screen pass. We were at 3rd and 19, 26, something like that. We took just a wide receiver screen, maybe at like 10 yards or whatever. We took it 70 yards, 70 or 80 yards, 60. I don't know how many. It was a lot. Okay, we are good. We have athletes. Especially Chris Thompson is a tremendous athlete. Okay, we have athletes. Get them the ball, and good things will happen for us. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and issue credit. 10% of the credit goes to Kirk Cousins. You managed the game well. You threw the ball well. Some guys actually dropped the ball. You could have had a higher percentage than that. You had 83% completion percentage. All the credit to you in the world, okay? But I'm going to be skeptical. I'm still skeptical because you could do great this week. You've had 2 good weeks in a row. Last week wasn't great. You managed the game. Had some bad passes. Some passes were dropped. So obviously blame goes both ways on where your success lies. You did great this week. I'm not going to take that away from you. Let's just see it consistently, okay? And I think scheme is helping you. So if we keep the scheme that way and you stick to the game plan of short passes, don't always look deep, don't predetermine your pass, yada, 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 I think you will be more successful. And I want you to be successful. This is what I've wanted for the last 2 or 3 years. Short passing game. Get the ball to athletes, so on and so forth, okay? So Kirk Cousins, you get 10% of the credit of the win. You probably get a little bit more if other parts of the game were that much better. 15% of the credit of the game goes to coaching. I've already kind of talked about this a little bit. I don't think he does. I don't know if Jay Gruden actually sees this podcast. I don't know. I doubt he does, but I'm just saying it seems like a lot of things I say just seem to articulate on the field. Maybe I'm on the same wavelength as Jay Gruden. Maybe he saw the same thing I saw. He's like, wow, we were really bad throwing the ball deep. Our short passes are much more efficient, and we have the athletes to do this, and not to mention it facilitates our running game. So Maybe. I doubt it, but maybe. So, and I will say this: not only does Jay Gruden agree with me, I listen to Chris Cooley's game film breakdown. Now, I don't always trust what Chris Cooley says. Just to be honest, I don't always take what he says with a grain of salt. But he sees the same thing I see. Short passes are better. Kirk doesn't throw the ball good deep. He hasn't thrown this year good deep. Honestly, he's never thrown a good deep ball, but he hasn't thrown it this year at all. Okay, so the Redskins, Jay Gruden, if you heard me, good job. If not, I'm just glad we think alike. I'll be happy that we think alike. The fact that we are moving the ball, or running the ball effectively. I mean, we have running back by committee. We had 116 rushing yards, and I think one player had over 50. Let me see. No one had over 50 yards. Prine had 49, Thompson had 38, and Brown had 27. Which I'm going to go and go on this for a second. I think Brown should get more touches. I personally like him. I personally just do. I like him more than Perine. Perine will run hard, and he will hit the hole. But Mac Brown, if you watch him run the ball, Mac Brown, I think, has better field vision. He has way better vision than Perine. Way better vision of the field than Perine. Okay? 100 times better. It's way better. Okay? And he follows his blockers better. I mentioned this last week. Not so much Perine, but definitely Kelly. I mentioned this last week. There's a play we had against the Eagles where Kelly is running outside, and there's a hole. There is a gap he can run, but there's also another gap outside near the sideline because he has a guy blocking a corner. Kelly just wants to get maximum yards every time he runs, or maximum doesn't want to take a risk, whatever. So he immediately goes for contact and only gets about 3 or 4 yards. If Mac Brown sees the field better, he bolts for that outside guy because he knows if he gets outside that guy, he's off to the races. Okay, I don't have a huge sample size. I have preseason because he hasn't played much, and he has 6 carries for 27 yards, which isn't bad. It's more than 4 yards a carry, so it's not too bad. Did anyone else actually have really great yards? Thompson was 8 of 20 or 38. That's not bad. Perine had about 20 attempts for 50 yards. It's not great, but overall, Jay Gruden, you're taking what you have and you're getting the best out of it. That's what I've always thought you should do as a coach. Put your players in the best position to be successful. Kirk Cousins, not very great at throwing deep balls. He's more successful he's a front runner, okay? I'll say it. Kirk Cousins and the Redskins offense, usually they're front runners. And what that means is whenever stuff good happens, it perpetuates to more good. Whenever bad happens, it can go south really quick. That's why you get so worried when you watch a game. And I'm not the only one. Everyone gets so worried that we have a fumble. Oh, God, here we go. That's just the mindset. But it's because our offense is front runners. So more positive leads to more positive. It perpetuates, it snowballs. I don't know how else to put that other than that. Okay? So beyond that, our defense, I believe, gets 75% of the credit for this win. Our defense was absolutely astounding. They were supposed to come in and beat the crap out of us. It was supposed to be a shootout, and our defense didn't let it be a shootout. They said they punched them in the mouth, and they didn't do anything after that. Marshawn Lynch didn't do anything. The team had 32 rushing yards. The Raiders had 32 rushing yards. Marshawn Lynch didn't do anything. Our defense, I'm just going to throw this out there. Our defense is averaging, giving up 62 rushing yards a game, which is very good. And if you look historically, teams that give up that many rushing yards usually do pretty well going into the playoffs. Okay, I'll talk about the division here in a couple minutes, but I'll circle back to that. Passing yards, we're giving about 211. That's really good. It's going to be tough this week, but that's really good. Giving up 211 yards, and we just did our job. They went in. The only issue I'm going to say is I think we're going to have issues with mobile quarterbacks. Derek Carr was a different case because he's not very mobile. We were literally pushing their offensive line, which they spend the most money on their offensive line than any other team in the league. They have one of the second best, statistically supposed to have second best, next to Dallas. And we were putting their defensive linemen in Derek Carr's lap. Okay? We were making it very hard for him to do his job, for him to throw the ball. And our secondary was all over people. We had picks. We were forcing turnovers. We were in guys' faces. We were just more physical. They didn't have one third down conversion. I think they only had like 3 or 4 first downs. I can actually check that. Give me 1 second. I'll tell you how many first downs they had. First downs, they had a total of 7. Okay, 2 by rush. Oh, 2 by penalty. Okay, so that's why I thought that. I thought it was only about 4. It's actually 5, but 2 of them were by penalty. So they got a first down that way. Our defense just amazing. We turned the ball over twice. The only reason that they scored is we turned the ball over twice. Both of them were in pretty close to the red zone, giving them the ball in the red zone. The first one resulted in a touchdown to, who was the tight end? The tight end, Cook. Threw the ball to the tight end and Cook. He got a touchdown. Good job. He got a touchdown. And the other one resulted in a field goal because our defense stepped up and shut him down. Did not do anything. The only reason that they actually had another play was there's a defensive holding penalty, apparently. So our defense is actually, we need to just avoid penalties. We had a lot of penalties in this game. I'm going to look at penalty yards. That's where I'd say we need to do a little better as a team. We had 10 penalties for 77 yards. That'll come back and bite us in the butt someday. Okay, we had 2 turnovers. Okay, we had a turnover by P. Ryan in the red zone. Was it P. Ryan? Pretty sure it's P. Ryan. It was a fumble by P. Ryan, and we also had a muff punt. Jamison Crowder, okay, first game I kind of gave you a pass, but you need to catch the damn ball. Okay? We could have done a lot better things, or could have just completely obliterated this team. We could have made a much better statement. 27-10 is a pretty good statement. We could have been like 40-10 or 40-0 if we don't have those turnovers, okay? Now I'm going to go over a couple things, and then the video's over. This is the longest one I've had because I had to reiterate some points because people don't want to always listen to what you have to say. They want to listen to the end result and not understand how you get there. So I think a couple things we should do a little bit better. We need to be a little bit more. We should have been a little aggressive at the end of the half. I thought we should have gone for that on 4th and inches. It's a psychological killer. They have not been able to stop us. We should have gone for it. I don't even mind if you did like a fake run, roll out, let Kirk just run for a couple yards. The reason why that is because we could have gone in the half with a 3-score lead. I think that would have been very important. And then, for all you know, I mean, you got to understand, you don't know how the other team's mental makeup is. They could be weak-minded. They could be like, okay, I mean, that could be exactly how that happened. We punched them in the mouth. They didn't respond because they're weak-minded. You go in the half down 21-0 or 17-0, your mindset's different because all you have to do is score one time and you're back in the game. It's a one-possession game. You can do that. It's surmountable, which is what happened. So the game was a little closer than it needed to be. So I think we need to be a little bit more aggressive. One time, Kirk got sacked, and I'm not going to be too much of a stickler about this, but sometimes he needs to feel a little better on the pocket around him. There's one example, and again, I'm not going to get too much into that. I sound like I'm nitpicking. I'm just going over everything so that next week when he does bad, and people say, "Oh, you never said this," no, I did say that. I'm just covering all my bases, and I'm just being transparent. Okay. He had a play where he dropped back. It was 3rd and 3, and he dropped back 9 yards. He got sacked for 9 yards. It was a 5-step drop. Whether that was Kirk doing the wrong drop back or it was called, that was a bad call. Okay, and Kirk needs to take not so deep because this is what happened. They didn't exactly collapse the pocket on him. He ran back so far that I think it was Khalil Mack ran all the way around our right tackle to get to him. Okay, way too deep a drop for 3 yards. Way too deep a drop. Fix that. Be a little bit smarter in that regard, whether that was Kirk just running the wrong play or doing the wrong drop step, or maybe Gruden called it. Okay, we just need to fix those little things. Those little things will get us. We also need to make sure we don't drop the ball. Dobson, I think there was like 2 plays before the touchdown pass, he dropped a comeback. He had it, and I guess because the guy bumped him, he dropped it. We had another one with Pryor. This one was actually pass interference. Pryor rounded a route. He didn't do it properly. And because he rounded the route, the guy jumped it. And the guy hit him for the ball got there. I mean, it's not a big deal. And then Grant, you had one. It was right here, and it went through your hands, hit your helmet, went straight up. Could have been an interception. Luckily, it wasn't. So there's 3 I can remember off the top of my head. I'm sure there's others, but those are 3 just right off the top of my head. So Other than that, our defense, like I said, gets 75% of the blame or credit for the win. They did amazing. They get the game ball. Our best offensive weapon actually had more 50 more yards than their whole offense had. Total offense had. Chris Thompson had 180 overall offensive yards. I think that's what it says. Yeah, 188. And their whole offense had total net yards was 128. So it's kind of a big deal. We did really well. Not going to get too much into that anymore. But now we're looking at next week, Kansas City. Kansas City, we are going to have to do the same exact thing we did, but better. Kansas City, in my opinion, is probably the best team in the NFL right now. They have one of the better defenses. They have one of the better offenses. They have a good running game. They have a good passing attack. They have good weapons. Their defense gets after it. They have the second best coach, in my opinion, is their coach too. Andy Reid's a heck of a coach. So I think we need to do the same thing. Come out, punch them in the mouth. Make sure we establish control early with the defense. Establish a running game. This is going to be a harder game. Everyone was all like, Raiders offense. Well, Kansas City Chiefs offense. If you look at our matchup next week, I'll go ahead and get to that. Just give me a second. Our matchup next week, we're looking at statistically we have a better defense, but I don't think we are a better defense. I think we've played teams and our defense has done better against those teams. I'm not going to sit here and say our team is better. Okay, for example, let's see next gen stats. I love next gen stats; they're the best. Nope, nothing happened. So, all right, total yards, offense comparison. They have about 20 more yards per game. Not too much of a difference there. Passing yards, we have 2 more passing yards. They have a lot more running yards, so we got to stop their running game. We haven't given 100 yards yet, knock on wood, but I think this would be a game where we're going to have to give up 100 yards and still we're probably going to give up 100 yards and still win. We got to give up 100 yards, still win. We could be the first team to actually stop Hunt. Hunt has been amazing. I wish I had him in fantasy. Points per game, we've only had about 23.7. They've had 31. Third down conversion rate's actually higher than theirs. And time of possession, we've actually had a lot better time of possession. Our defense gives up almost 100 yards less per game. So, I mean, we could definitely do this. We give up 50 yards less running the ball and like about 50 yards less passing the ball. So there's a lot of things. And in points per game, we give up 20, which that is very skewed. And here's why that is skewed. I heard a lady on NFL Game Day say, "Oh, the Redskins give up like 5th most yards per game or points per game." That we are giving up the Redskins defense giving up 5th point. No, we're not. Our defense is not giving up that many points. A lot of times our defense is put in bad spots, and that's why. Okay, against the Eagles, our defense gave up 1 touchdown. Then they gave up the second touchdown. I'll give you that. They did give up the second touchdown. But the counter to that is that's because someone fumbled on the 30-yard line, Kirk. Okay? Kirk fumbled on the 30-yard line, so automatically they're in field goal range. And then the second half, we held them to 6 points. Okay? So we put ourselves in a position to be successful. Okay? Our defense does a great job at doing that. Now you look at overall points, and like you can take whatever you want out of that. Overall points, yeah, we're giving up 20 a game because 10, 20, or 30 and 20 is what we're giving up per game. Our defense isn't giving up that many points. Okay, our defense isn't giving up that many points or yards. It's a lot of it facilitates off of offensive screw-ups. Okay, like last week, the only points they got was off of offensive turnovers. Okay, I'm going to talk about the division for like 5 seconds, and then that's pretty much the podcast. The division, right now we are tied for first, a three-way tie with Dallas Cowboys, Eagles, us, and then the Giants are in last. First off, I'm just so happy the Giants suck. There are ESPN analysts. I listen to ESPN talk show radio or ESPN's First Take and a bunch of other shows. There are so many people who were like, "Oh, the Giants and that defense. That defense is shit right now." First off, second, the offense is shit. Okay, third, you're dead wrong. And they talked about the Giants. I'm gonna rant about this for 2 seconds. They talked about the damn Giants for 40 minutes yesterday. I'm like, the Redskins just beat the crap out of the best offense in the league. Can they get a little bit of shine? I know you're disrespecting every time that they talk about it, like, "Oh, the Redskins, they don't even count in their division. That's an easy win every week." I hope the Redskins beat you by freaking 40 points. That's the way I freaking feel about that. It pisses me off. But sorry. So go back around. Bring down the energy level, JD. So we're in a three-way tie. I really think that the only reason we lost the Eagles because of our screw ups. We didn't. I don't think we lost the Eagles because they are better than us. I think we lost the Eagles personally because I think that we screwed up. I do not think they're better than us. We had a lot of missed sacks. One missed sack led to a long bomb, which you give anyone time. I can get open on an NFL corner if I have 10 seconds to do it. Okay? We had another one where we had like 3rd and 10 or something, and he threw like a pass after he avoided a sack and got him a first down. There's a lot of things that we're going to be able to do better, and we're actually better at overall now. Just after the first 2 games, I've already seen a big improvement in some aspects of our game. We stopped the running game. The running game was ineffective. If we take away 3 turnovers, I'm pretty sure we're going to win that game. Take away 3 turnovers, we're going to win that game. If Kirk doesn't throw that last turnover, we're up. We're already winning the game. So, and we have a fumble. There's 3 fumbles, muff punt, and then 2 fumbles by Kirk. So there's a lot of things that facilitated that game. I do think we were better than the Eagles, and I definitely think after seeing the Cowboys twice now, or 3 times now, definitely we're better than the Cowboys. I don't think the Cowboys are going to be able to run on us. Our defensive line is a lot better than I anticipated. And our offense, I don't see how the Dallas is going to stop our offense. I do not see it. It might be one of those games, but because it's a rivalry game, it's going to do a little bit. But I do not see how they're going to stop our offense, and I think our defense can hold their offense to. I think our offense can hold them to 20 points. I really think our offense can stop them and hold them to 20 points. So if I think we can get 30 on them. That's where, and I'll reiterate on this one last time. It's the last thing, and then I guess the podcast's done. Last year, the biggest issue I had with Kirk was the year before we averaged about 24 yards per game, and he had about, I think it was 29 touchdowns or 30 touchdowns. Those numbers should be increasing gradually every year. Something should be increasing. Now, yards increased last year, but red zone production and touchdowns output went down, which is why I think we didn't make the playoffs. If he gets the same amount of touchdowns, if he gets just 29 touchdowns, 4 more touchdowns, you add that 4 touchdowns to 4 different games, spread them out over 4 games, we're in the playoffs. We could have beat the Bengals, Cowboys both times. Second time we played the Giants. What was another game? Detroit. That's another one. So there's a handful of games where if we just had another touchdown, we could have won. Okay? That's the video. That's the Redskin rant. I appreciate anyone who watches this. I know this was a little bit longer. I apologize. I had to get a lot of things out there. But Redskins won. That's what's important. And I'm not nitpicking. I'm just being complete. Okay? We can't all sit here and jerk off Kirk Cousins every time he does well. Gotta be complete. Yes, he did well. There's a reason why he did well. Can he do well more often? Absolutely. This is what I've wanted. Short passes. If you look at the numbers, go to NFL.com, go to Redskins game, and then you go to Next Gen Stats, and you'll see all the stats I said. Okay? I'm JD. I appreciate you watching. This is Redskin Rant. Please like, share, subscribe. You can follow me on CastBox. And I have obviously, if you're watching this is on YouTube. It's on the Redskin Rant. I would like some replies because I would like to do another video like on Saturday about some questions about what I think. What do you think they should do with Sanua Cravens? What do you think they should do with it? Those are things I'd like to do, but I need a decent amount of questions. But my name's JD. Appreciate you watching. Have a good one. See ya.